The fall of Sol. The quantum sensors aboard the TSS Hyperion screamed their warning exactly 23 minutes before humanity's world changed forever. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the readings in disbelief, her hands trembling as she initiated a priority alert to Earth Defense Command. The void between Neptune and Uranus had torn open, disgorging thousands of crystalline vessels that gleamed like shattered stars. "Multiple quantum ruptures detected," she announced, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. "Unknown vessels emerging. Configuration matches no known species in the database." Admiral James Torres leaned forward in his command chair, eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the approaching armada. The Hyperion, humanity's most advanced deep space research vessel, had been monitoring quantum fluctuations in the outer solar system when they made first contact. "Send the first contact protocols on all frequencies," he ordered, "and alert the Sol Defense Fleet." But the crystalline ships gave no response. They accelerated toward the inner system with impossible speed, their drives leaving trails of blue fire against the void. Humanity's warnings, greetings, and finally desperate pleas for communication went unanswered. The Sol Defense Fleet mobilized with impressive speed, but they were hopelessly outmatched. Earth's most powerful warships, pride of human engineering, might as well have been throwing stones at a tsunami. The crystalline vessels, soon designated as Nexari ships, shrugged off nuclear warheads and particle beam weapons like minor annoyances. Deep beneath the Olympus Mons research facility on Mars, Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked frantically to complete humanity's last hope. Project Exodus had been her life's work, an experimental quantum gate designed to create stable wormholes across vast distances. It wasn't ready. The power requirements were astronomical. The targeting systems were unreliable, and they had no idea if human biology could survive transit. But ready or not, it was now humanity's only chance for survival. "We need more time," Elena pleaded during an emergency conference with what remained of Earth's leadership. The Nexari had already reduced the Jovian colonies to debris, their weapons systematically erasing every trace of human presence in the outer system. "Time is the one thing we don't have," UN Secretary General Wei responded grimly. "The Nexari will reach Earth in less than 72 hours. How many can your gate transport? If we strip every fusion plant in the system for power, maybe 1 million, but we don't know what's on the other side. We don't even know if they'll survive the transit. 1 million is better than extinction," Wei said softly. "Begin the evacuation." The next 3 days wrote themselves into human history in letters of fire and sacrifice. As the Nexari approached, humanity underwent the most desperate evacuation in its history. The lucky ones were chosen by lottery, a random selection of humanity's best and brightest, along with enough genetic diversity to ensure the species' survival. The unlucky ones fought. Every ship that could carry weapons joined the Sol Defense Fleet in a suicide mission to buy time. Civilian vessels turned themselves into improvised bombs. The surface of Mars erupted as hidden missile silos deployed their payloads, a desperate attempt to thin the seemingly endless ranks of Nexari ships. Admiral Torres and the Hyperion led the final defense of Earth, commanding a ragtag fleet of military and civilian vessels. "Remember this moment," he broadcast to all channels. "Remember what they took from us. Remember that we did not go quietly." The Hyperion's final transmission captured the essence of humanity's defiance. As crystalline beams carved through his ship's hull, Torres ordered his crew to abandon ship. He then piloted the dying vessel straight into the heart of the Nexari formation, its fusion core detonating with the fury of a newborn star. Dr. Chen survived, barely making it aboard one of the last evacuation ships. As they approached the quantum gate on Mars, she watched through tears as the Nexari began their systematic destruction of Earth. Their weapons didn't simply destroy. They unraveled matter at the quantum level, reducing humanity's cradle to its constituent atoms. The quantum gate activated with a brilliance that outshone the sun, powered by the combined output of every remaining fusion plant in the system. Through it passed the seeds of humanity's survival. 953,412 survivors, carried aboard a fleet of hastily converted colony ships. Dr. Rodriguez was the last through the gate. As reality twisted and broke around the fleeing ships, she input the final command sequence. The gate collapsed behind them, destroying itself and half of Mars in an explosion that briefly rivaled the sun. The blast took with it any chance of the Nexari following their exact quantum signature through the void. The survivors emerged in an unknown region of space, far from any charted star. As the fleet regrouped and began counting their losses, Dr. Chen made her way to the command center of their flagship, the Providence. She found Dr. Rodriguez there, staring at the unfamiliar stars. Was it worth it? Elena asked quietly, trading a quick death for slow starvation in the void. Sarah placed a hand on her friend's shoulder. We're alive, and as long as we're alive, we can rebuild. We can remember, and one day, we can return. The Providence's engines flared to life, leading the refugee fleet into the unknown. Behind them, the light of Sol's destruction hadn't yet reached their position, but they carried that light within them, not just the memory of what they had lost, but the burning determination to reclaim it. Humanity had fallen, but they would rise again, and the galaxy would remember why. The hidden stars. 3 decades after the fall of Sol, the refugee fleet discovered their salvation in a dense stellar nursery. The cosmic dust and radiation that made the region challenging to navigate also made it perfect for hiding. Dr. Sarah Chen, now bearing the weight of both years and responsibility, named the first habitable world they found Haven Prime. Haven Prime orbited a young red dwarf star, its surface swept by powerful magnetic storms that would have made colonization impossible before the fall. But desperation had bred innovation. The same quantum field technology that had saved them from the Nexari was adapted to create protective shields around their settlements. The first colony grew in the shadow of massive cliffs that helped shelter them from the worst of Haven Prime's storms. They called it Remembrance City, and its architecture reflected their dual nature as both refugees and warriors. Every building was both a home and a fortress, every public space designed to double as an emergency shelter. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had not lived to see their new home. The quantum gate transit had taken its toll on her body, accelerating her aging. But her legacy lived on in the quantum engineering labs that formed the heart of their new civilization. Her protege, Dr. Marcus Zhang, carried forward her work with religious dedication. The Nexari's greatest mistake, Marcus often said, was leaving us alive to learn from their attack. The quantum weaponry that had unmade Earth became the foundation for a new branch of human physics. Every piece of recovered sensor data, every fragment of observed Nexari technology, was analyzed and reverse-engineered. The survivors had learned harsh lessons from the fall. The new human civilization grew in absolute secrecy, extending through the stellar nursery like roots spreading underground. They built their ships inside hollowed-out asteroids, tested weapons in the hearts of gas giants, and masked their quantum signatures behind veils of artificial radiation. 100 years after landing on Haven Prime, humanity had changed. The harsh radiation and higher gravity of their new home had accelerated their evolution, aided by careful genetic engineering. The new generation stood taller, their bones denser, their minds capable of processing the quantum mathematics that had once seemed like magic. Sarah Chen lived to see the birth of her great-great-granddaughter, her life extended by the same genetic advances that were reshaping their species. Emily Chen Martinez came into the world already adapted to Haven Prime's gravity and radiation, her neural architecture optimized for quantum computing from birth. "They're calling us Homo Quantum now," Emily told her ancient ancestor on her 16th birthday. They stood in the quantum observatory, watching the birth of new stars in the surrounding nebula. "Do you think we're still human?" Sarah smiled, touching the pendant she wore, a quantum crystal containing a single preserved leaf from Earth. "Being human was never about our bodies," she said. "It's about our spirit, our determination to survive and thrive no matter the odds." If anything, we're more human now than ever. The second century of exile brought new discoveries. Deep in the stellar nursery, they found traces of ancient alien civilizations, long dead, their worlds reduced to quantum ash by Nexari weapons. Each discovery hardened their resolve and refined their strategy. The Nexari weren't invincible. They were simply patient, systematic in their extinction of potential rivals. Marcus Zhang's breakthrough came in the 3rd century. His team had finally unlocked the underlying principles of Nexari quantum technology. But instead of simply copying their destroyers' weapons, humanity took the science in a new direction. Where Nexari tech unmade reality, human quantum engineering learned to reshape it. The first successful test of the quantum forge occurred in a remote system designated only by numbers. A dead world, ancient victim of the Nexari, was restored at the quantum level. Atmospheric molecules reassembled themselves from scattered atoms. Continental plates reformed from cosmic dust. Within a year, the planet was ready for terraforming. We're not just survivors anymore, Marcus announced to the combined Council of Haven. We're becoming creators. The Nexari destroy worlds. We can rebuild them. By the 4th century, the human sphere of influence had expanded to encompass 50 star systems, all hidden within or behind the stellar nursery. Each world was a fortress, each station a shipyard or research facility. They developed quantum cloaking that could hide entire planets, artificial intelligence that could process quantum calculations faster than organic brains, and weapons that could fight fire with fire. But they never forgot their true purpose. Every child born in the hidden stars grew up with quantum crystals containing preserved fragments of Earth, blades of grass, grains of sand, drops of ocean water. The crystals were more than mementos. They were promises. In Remembrance City, the Quantum Archive preserved the complete quantum signature of Earth, recorded by the Hyperion sensors in the final days. Every atom, every molecule, every quantum state of humanity's cradle had been documented and stored. It wasn't just data. It was a blueprint for resurrection. 5 centuries after the fall, humanity was ready to begin the next phase of their return. Their fleet now numbered in the thousands, each ship more advanced than anything the Nexari had fielded during the fall. Their weapons could unmake and remake reality itself. Their bodies and minds were evolved and engineered for war in quantum space. But Sarah Chen's words still echoed through the generations. Being human was never about our bodies. They had become something new, something powerful, but they had kept their humanity. They remembered their home, their loss, and their purpose. The hidden stars had given them shelter to grow, to evolve, to prepare. But they were not meant to hide forever. The time was coming for humanity to step back into the light, and the galaxy would never be the same. Project Aurora. Emily Chen Martinez stood before the combined Council of Haven, her quantum-enhanced mind projecting complex simulations into the shared consciousness space. At 7 feet tall, she cut an imposing figure, but it was her intelligence that commanded attention. As chief architect of Project Aurora, she carried the weight of 1,000 years of preparation on her shoulders. The Nexari haven't changed, she began, neural interfaces streaming data directly to the council members' enhanced minds. Their empire has expanded to 300 systems, but their basic strategy remains the same. They identify potential rivals, observe them for centuries, then strike without warning or mercy. The quantum simulation showed the known extent of Nexari space, a spreading cancer of dead systems and shattered worlds. Their ships still bore the same crystalline design that had laid waste to Earth, their weapons still unmade reality at its most fundamental level. But now, humanity understood how they worked. More importantly, they understood why. The Nexari aren't driven by hatred or fear, Emily continued. They're driven by absolute certainty. Their quantum technology allows them to calculate probability streams extending thousands of years into the future. They destroy other civilizations because their calculations show even a single rival species creates uncertainty in their perfect model of existence. Marcus Zhang, now more machine than man after centuries of life-extending modifications, added his own data to the simulation. But their greatest strength is also their fundamental weakness. They can't conceive of variables their quantum computers can't calculate, and we've become something their models never predicted. Project Aurora had been in development for over 3 centuries. It wasn't just a military strategy or a technological innovation. It was a complete reimagining of what humanity could be. The quantum engineering that had evolved their bodies and minds was just the beginning. They had learned to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously, to process information through time as well as space. The first phase of Aurora had been the development of the quantum forge worlds, entire planets converted into reality editing engines. These installations could rewrite the quantum structure of space itself, creating zones where conventional physics simply ceased to function. The next series weapons, designed to unravel normal matter, would be useless in these altered spaces. But the true power of Aurora isn't in our weapons, Emily explained, shifting the simulation to show their hidden network of star systems. It's in our ability to operate outside their probability models. Every human now exists in a quantum superposition. Every ship can transition between states of reality. We're not just invisible to their sensors, we're invisible to their concept of possibility. The council chamber hummed with the combined processing power of humanity's leadership as they analyzed the implications. Admiral James Torres IV, descendant of the hero of Saul's Last Stand, spoke first. "You're not just proposing a military campaign. You're talking about rewriting the fundamental rules of the galaxy." "Exactly," Emily confirmed. The Nexari built their empire on predictability. Every species they've encountered operated according to comprehensible physical laws. But we've learned to be more than physical. We've become quantum ghosts, existing between the lines of their perfect equations. The second phase of Aurora involved the deployment of quantum nexus points throughout Nexari space. For centuries, automated probes had been seeding these devices in the quantum wake of Nexari ships, building a hidden network that could rewrite reality across their entire empire simultaneously. Dr. Sarah Chen, now existing as a quantum consciousness within the Haven Prime mainframe, manifested in the simulation. "We've waited long enough," her digital avatar announced. "The network is complete. Our forces are ready. The only question remaining is, do we simply reclaim Earth, or do we free every world the Nexari have claimed?" The decision wasn't made lightly. Despite their advances, despite their evolution into something approaching godhood by their ancestors' standards, humanity had not lost its capacity for mercy. The council debated for days, their quantum-enhanced minds processing centuries of data and moral implications. In the end, it was Emily who provided the solution. "We don't need to destroy them," she explained. "We can use the quantum forge technology to create new spaces of reality. The Nexari can keep their empire of perfect prediction, while we restore the worlds they've destroyed in parallel quantum states. We're not going to defeat them. We're going to transcend them." Project Aurora entered its final phase with the construction of the Quantum Armada. Unlike the crystalline ships of the Nexari, these vessels were fluid things, existing in multiple states simultaneously. They could phase between realities, their quantum drives allowing them to ignore conventional laws of physics. Each ship was captained by a quantum consciousness, able to process combat decisions across multiple timelines simultaneously. Emily took command of the flagship, a vessel that defied traditional description. Named Memory of Earth, it contained within its quantum matrix a perfect copy of humanity's lost homeworld, ready to be reborn at the right moment. As the Armada prepared for departure, Emily stood in the quantum observatory one last time, watching the stellar nursery that had hidden and nurtured them for so long. The quantum crystal at her neck contained a single grain of Earth sand, preserved across a millennium of exile. "We're not just going home," she broadcast to the assembled fleet. "We're bringing home back to us. And this time, we're making sure it can never be taken away again." The quantum armada vanished from normal space, slipping between the cracks of reality toward Nexari space. They carried with them not just weapons of war, but tools of creation. After 1,000 years of preparation, humanity was ready to rewrite the story of their fall. The galaxy was about to learn that destroying humanity hadn't removed them from the equation. It had only taught them to solve for infinity. The first strike. The Nexari never saw the first strike coming. Their quantum probability engines, which had predicted the fate of countless civilizations, registered no anomalies in the Centauri sector. Their crystalline ships maintained their regular patrol patterns, their sensors scanning space for any trace of emerging civilizations to catalog and eventually eliminate. Emily Chen Martinez watched from the quantum observatory of the memory of Earth as reality itself began to shift. The quantum nexus points, hidden for centuries throughout Nexari space, activated simultaneously. Space-time rippled like water, and suddenly, the Nexari fleet found itself operating in a universe where their fundamental laws no longer applied. All ships, execute Phase 1, Emily commanded, her consciousness extending across the quantum network that connected the human fleet. The quantum armada emerged from their parallel state, appearing as ghostly shadows against the backdrop of normal space. Each vessel existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, making them impossible for Nexari sensors to target. The Nexari response was immediate but futile. Their crystalline ships fired quantum dissolution beams, weapons designed to unravel matter at its most fundamental level. But in the altered space created by the quantum nexus points, their attacks passed harmlessly through human vessels, dispersing into parallel realities. Admiral Torres IV led the first offensive wave. His consciousness spread across 100 ships simultaneously. Remember Earth. His voice echoed through quantum space, reaching every human mind in the fleet. The quantum armada engaged, not with traditional weapons, but with reality-editing fields that rewrote the very nature of space around the Nexari ships. The crystalline vessels began to change. Their perfect geometric forms, symbols of the Nexari's dedication to absolute order, twisted and reformed. Some ships found themselves existing in multiple states at once, their crews experiencing every possible outcome of their actions simultaneously. Others shifted into quantum states where their weapons simply ceased to exist. In the command center of the nearest Nexari bastion, the alien leadership experienced something they had never encountered in their millennia of existence: uncertainty. Their quantum computers, which had guided their empire's expansion through perfect probability calculation, began returning impossible results. Reality itself seemed to be rewriting its own rules around them. Emily directed the memory of Earth toward the heart of the Nexari formation. The flagship's quantum matrix activated, projecting a field of pure possibility. Within this field, the laws of physics became suggestions rather than rules. The Nexari ships found themselves operating in a space where cause did not necessarily precede effect, where probability was no longer bound by linear time. "We don't seek your extinction," Emily broadcast on all frequencies, her message translated into the quantum language of the Nexari. "We offer you a choice. Adapt to a universe of uncertainty, or remain in your own pocket of predictable space. But you will no longer impose your version of reality on others." The quantum forge worlds activated next, their combined power reaching across light years. Dead systems, ancient victims of Nexari aggression, began to flicker with new possibility. Planets that had been reduced to quantum ash reassembled themselves in parallel states of existence, their biospheres reborn in quantum superposition. Marcus Jung, his consciousness now fully digital, coordinated the quantum reconstruction efforts. "We're not just restoring these worlds," he announced to the fleet. "We're giving them the ability to exist in multiple states simultaneously. The Nexari can never truly destroy them again." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than an hour in conventional time. But across quantum space, it played out across centuries of possibility. The Nexari fleet, faced with an enemy that defied their fundamental understanding of reality, began to retreat. Their perfect crystalline formations shattered not by weapons, but by the introduction of uncertainty into their ordered universe. Sarah Chen's digital consciousness manifested throughout the fleet, her presence a reminder of humanity's long journey. "This is just the beginning," she reminded them. "We've proven our concept, shown them our power, but our true goal remains." Emily turned the memory of Earth toward the coordinates that had been burned into human memory for a millennium. Sol system, the quantum signature of humanity's cradle, preserved in the ship's matrix, pulsed with potential energy. They had the power now not just to reclaim their home, but to resurrect it across multiple quantum states, making it eternally resistant to destruction. "All ships, prepare for Phase 2, Emily commanded. The quantum armada regrouped, their vessels shifting through parallel realities as they prepared for the final push toward Earth. Behind them, the Centauri sector existed in a new state of quantum flux, its restored worlds flickering with infinite possibility. The Nexeri Empire had faced its first defeat in known history. Their perfect model of reality had been shattered not by superior firepower, but by the introduction of something their quantum computers could never calculate: human ingenuity and determination. As the fleet prepared to jump, Emily touched the quantum crystal at her neck, feeling the resonance of that single grain of Earth sand. "We're coming home," she whispered, her words echoing across quantum space to every human consciousness in the fleet. "And this time, we're bringing infinity with us." The memory of Earth led the armada into quantum space, leaving behind a changed galaxy. The Nexeri would adapt, or they would isolate themselves, but their era of unopposed extinction was over. Humanity had returned not just as survivors or conquerors, but as architects of a new reality. The next phase would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the fundamental nature of existence itself in this sector of space. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was never their technology. It was their ability to imagine impossible futures and make them real. Echoes of Earth. The Sol system was both exactly as they remembered and completely transformed. Where Earth had once orbited, there was now a quantum void, a space where reality itself had been unraveled by Nexeri weapons a millennium ago. But to quantum-enhanced human senses, the echo of their homeworld still resonated through space-time, its pattern etched into the very fabric of reality. Emily Chen Martinez stood on the bridge of the memory of Earth, surrounded by the combined consciousness of humanity's leadership. The quantum crystal at her neck pulsed in harmony with the void ahead, that single grain of sand recognizing its long-lost home. "They're waiting for us," Admiral Torres Ivy announced, his consciousness spread across the sensor networks of 1,000 ships. The Nexeri had concentrated their forces around the quantum void, their crystalline ships arranged in perfect geometric formations. It was their largest fleet assembly in recorded history, a last desperate attempt to maintain their version of reality. "Let them watch," Emily replied, initiating the final phase of Project Aurora. The memory of Earth moved forward, its quantum matrix beginning to resonate with the void. Around it, the quantum armada shifted into a higher state of reality, their ships existing simultaneously across multiple dimensions of spacetime. The Nexeri attacked first, their quantum dissolution beams lancing out across space. But humanity had evolved beyond such simple concepts of cause and effect. The beams passed through quantum ghost images of human ships, hitting nothing but possibility. "Begin the restoration sequence," Emily commanded. The quantum forge worlds, hidden in parallel states throughout the system, activated simultaneously. Reality itself began to warp and bend as the combined power of humanity's quantum engineering focused on a single point in spacetime. Marcus Young's digital consciousness coordinated the quantum calculations, processing information across multiple timelines simultaneously. "We're not just rebuilding Earth," he explained to the fleet. "We're restoring every possible Earth, every version that could have existed. The Nexeri destroyed one reality. We're replacing it with infinite possibility." The void began to shimmer, possibilities crystallizing into actuality. The quantum signature preserved by the Hyperion sensors a millennium ago provided the baseline, But humanity's quantum engineering allowed for more, much more. Sarah Chen's consciousness manifested in the shared space, her presence a bridge between humanity's past and its transcendent future. "Look," she whispered, as reality itself began to multiply. Where Earth had once been, multiple versions of the planet began to phase into existence, each occupying the same space, but vibrating at different quantum frequencies. There was Earth as it had been before the fall, its cities gleaming in the sunlight. There was Earth as it might have evolved naturally over the past millennium. There was Earth reimagined through quantum engineering, its continents reshaped by human design. The Nexari fleet reacted with uncharacteristic chaos. Their quantum probability engines, faced with infinite simultaneous realities, began to overload. Some ships simply shut down, their crews unable to process a universe that defied their fundamental understanding of existence. "You sought to impose certainty on an uncertain universe," Emily broadcast to the Nexari fleet. "But uncertainty, possibility, change, these are not flaws to be eliminated. They are the very essence of existence, of life itself." The memory of Earth moved into position above the quantum Earth cluster, its systems interfacing with the restored worlds. Every human in the fleet felt the connection, their quantum-enhanced minds resonating with every version of their homeworld simultaneously. But Emily wasn't finished. As the Nexari fleet struggled to comprehend the impossible scene before them, she initiated the final protocol of Project Aurora. The quantum reconstruction field expanded, reaching out to touch every world the Nexari had destroyed over their long history of extinction. Throughout the galaxy, dead worlds began to flicker with new life, not just restored to their original state, but reborn into quantum multiplicity. Each civilization the Nexari had erased now had infinite possibilities to explore, infinite paths to follow. "This is our answer to extinction," Emily declared, her consciousness reaching across space to touch both her own people and the Nexari. "Not revenge, not replacement, but transcendence. We offer you the same choice we discovered in our exile. Evolve beyond the need for absolute certainty, or remain forever isolated in your crystal towers, watching as the rest of the galaxy embraces infinite possibility." The response came not in words but in quantum fluctuations. Some Nexari ships began to shift and change, their crystalline structures becoming fluid, embracing uncertainty. Others retreated into quantum bubbles of their own making, choosing to maintain their ordered existence, separate from the new reality humanity had created. Admiral Torres directed the fleet into defensive positions around the Earth cluster, but no battle was necessary. The age of extinction was over, replaced by an era of infinite possibility. Sarah Chen's digital consciousness spread across the restored Earths, touching each version of humanity's cradle. "We did more than survive," she observed. "We did more than remember. We transformed loss into creation, vengeance into enlightenment." Emily stood in the quantum observatory of the memory of Earth, watching as humans from the fleet began the process of settling into various versions of their restored homeworld. The quantum crystal at her neck had dissolved, that single grain of sand finally returning to become part of every possible Earth. The story of humanity's fall became the story of the galaxy's rebirth, she said to the assembled consciousness of her people. "We came seeking restoration, but we achieved transformation, not just for ourselves, but for every species the Nexari sought to erase." The quantum void that had marked Earth's grave was gone, replaced by infinite possibility. Humanity had not just returned, they had rewritten the very rules of existence. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly the point. In the end, humanity's greatest victory was not in defeating the Nexari, but in showing them, and the universe, a better way to exist. Not in rigid certainty, but in the beautiful chaos of infinite possibility. The fall of Earth had launched humanity's greatest journey. Its restoration marked not an ending, but a beginning. The dawn of an age where reality itself was as mutable as imagination, and every destroyed world could echo with new life across infinite dimensions of possibility.